For decades, the world constructed its own version of Princess Diana, an icon fashioned from newspaper headlines, television clips, and the glittering facade of royalty. Through it all, her brother, Charles Spencer, held the unvarnished truth in silence. He was the keeper of her secrets, the guardian of the woman behind the title, refusing to be drawn into the cacophony of public speculation. That silence, once an unshakable fortress, has gradually softened over the years, allowing a truer, more intimate portrait to emerge. When Charles speaks of his sister now, it is not to contradict the legend, but to restore the humanity within it. He paints a picture of a woman who was brave yet vulnerable, globally adored yet profoundly lonely, a figure who somehow remained far more human than the rigid institution of the crown ever allowed her to be. His words are not those of a historian analyzing a public figure, but of a grieving brother still grappling with a loss that feels as fresh as yesterday. The pain of losing Diana has never truly faded for Charles. He describes it as a constant, quiet companion in his life. Now in his 60s, he has spoken candidly about the enduring nature of this grief, explaining that losing a sibling is akin to losing a part of oneself. This was not an abstract loss. Diana was not a distant sister. She was his closest confidant, his partner in childhood mischief, and his steadfast ally. With their two older sisters, Sarah and Jane, being much older, Charles and Diana were thrust together by age and circumstance, forming a bond in the sprawling rooms and vast grounds of their ancestral home, Althorpe. They were a unit of two, navigating the complexities of their family life together. Many of his most cherished memories are woven from the simple, unrecorded threads of their shared youth, shared laughter that echoed down long corridors, clandestine adventures on the estate, and the unspoken comfort of knowing there was one person who understood the world exactly as you did. She was, as he has often emphasized, never just the Princess of Wales to him. She was simply Diana, the sister who laughed at his jokes, offered a wordless comfort during moments of sadness, and represented a link to a time of uncomplicated innocence. Her sudden death in a Paris tunnel at the age of 36 did not just bring global mourning. It shattered Charles's world forever. He has described it as a seismic event that fractured his own identity, a piece of his heart torn away that could never be restored. In the immediate and painful years that followed, he would experience jarring moments of forgetfulness, instinctively reaching for the telephone to share a piece of news or a funny thought with her, only to be met with the crushing realization that she was gone. Those moments, he has recalled, were among the hardest to bear, a brutal, recurring confirmation of an unbearable truth. The silence on the other end of the line was a void that nothing could fill. As the Spencer family aged and their parents passed away, Charles watched how time and loss slowly altered the family's dynamic. While he maintains loving relationships with his older sisters, he has openly acknowledged that the unique foundational connection he shared with Diana was irreplaceable. Her death took away not only a beloved sister, but the last living witness to the specific joys and sorrows of their shared childhood. This profound sense of loss and protectiveness culminated in his emotional eulogy at her funeral in 1997. Standing before a global audience of millions, Charles did not speak as the 9th Earl Spencer, a peer of the realm, but purely as a heartbroken brother. His voice, thick with emotion, resonated with a raw honesty that captivated and moved the world. He expressed not only his personal heartbreak, but a pointed anger at the media that had pursued her so relentlessly in life. This was not a new sentiment for him. Long before her death, he had felt a fierce need to shield her from the harsh glare of public scrutiny. He once recalled confronting a journalist after reading a particularly cruel article, dismayed that people could speak of her with such casual cruelty without knowing the compassionate and warm person he knew. At the funeral, that protective instinct was channeled into a powerful promise to safeguard her memory and protect her sons, William and Harry, ensuring that her legacy would be defined by her goodness, not her tragedy. Today, Charles speaks of his sister with a tenderness that has been refined by time. He has not sought to get over his grief, but rather has learned to live alongside it, allowing it to become a part of him. He describes grief not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a poignant reminder of life's fragility and the profound importance of cherishing those we love. Though Diana is gone, Charles continues to feel her presence in the quiet corners of his life, in a sudden memory that brings a smile, in the values she instilled in her sons, and in the enduring influence of her kindness. Within Althorpe, where she rests on a peaceful island in the estate's lake, her memory is kept alive through photographs and keepsakes, a constant, gentle presence in the home they once shared. For Charles Spencer, the brother who still misses her, the silence of her absence has been transformed into a voice of remembrance, a lifelong conversation with a sister whose light, for him, has never truly gone out. Amid the relentless turbulence and public scrutiny that often surrounds the modern royal family, Charles Spencer has carved a distinct path for honoring his sister's legacy. His approach is not marked by grand ceremonial declarations or by engaging in public discourse, but through quiet, meaningful gestures that resonate with the very values Diana championed. This philosophy was beautifully embodied in a poignant event he hosted at the family estate, Althorpe. On a day filled with both reflection and song, he welcomed over 350 rock choir members to its historic grounds. Their purpose was to record a special charity single, a heartfelt tribute marking the 25th anniversary of the Diana Award, an organization dedicated to empowering young people to continue Diana's work of spreading kindness and driving positive social change. The setting itself was deeply symbolic. As Charles stood on the sun-drenched lawns where he and Diana once played as children, his words to the gathered crowd carried a palpable mix of pride and tenderness. For him, this was far more than a musical performance or a fundraising event. It was a living tribute to his sister's spirit. The harmonious voices rising over the estate felt like an echo of Diana's own empathy, a powerful auditory reminder that her compassion continues to create ripples across generations. He spoke not as a distant aristocrat or a figure entangled in royal controversies, but simply as a brother who remains a steadfast custodian of a beloved sibling's memory, ensuring her light is not dimmed by time. A particularly meaningful aspect of the event for Charles was the shared support for the Diana Award from both of Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. He openly acknowledged the profound significance of their unity in this cause, despite their well-documented personal differences. In that moment, the brothers were aligned not by duty or protocol, but by a shared love for their mother and a common commitment to perpetuating her mission. Charles highlighted this as something profoundly meaningful, a quiet testament to the enduring bond of family and memory that transcends public narrative and discord. His role in this instance was as a unifying figure, gently reminding everyone that beneath the noise of headlines lies a foundation of love and shared purpose laid down by Diana herself. This event is a quintessential example of how Charles has chosen to honor his sister since her tragic passing in 1997, rather than through lavish memorials. He focuses on actions that have tangible, positive impacts, mirroring Diana's own hands-on approach to charity. By hosting young changemakers at Althorpe and supporting the infrastructure that carries Diana's name forward, he provides a living, breathing space for her ethos to thrive. For the brother who once stood before the world at her funeral, vowing to protect her legacy, these moments of quiet dedication offer a deep sense of fulfillment and peace. They are a confirmation that her life's work was not in vain, and that her message of empathy, championed from the very lawns of her childhood home, remains a vital force for good. Long before the world knew him as Princess Diana's devoted brother, Charles Spencer was crafting a life defined by intellectual curiosity and a deep reverence for the past. His identity is not merely that of an aristocrat who inherited a title, but of a historian, author, and storyteller who has actively shaped his own legacy. His career began not within the ancient walls of his family estate, but in the modern world of broadcast journalism. As an on-air correspondent for NBC News between 1986 and 1995, Charles brought a distinctive warmth and intelligence to his reporting. His voice, calm and measured, had a unique ability to make complex stories feel personal and accessible. This was not a man simply reading a script. He was a natural storyteller, and his fascination with culture and narrative soon led him to create and host the documentary series Great Houses of the World, which explored the architecture and human histories behind remarkable global estates. This lifelong passion for narrative and heritage converged dramatically with his birthright in 1992. At the age of 27, following the death of his father, Charles inherited the title of the 9th Earl Spencer and the immense responsibility of Althorp. This was not just a stately home. It was a living, breathing piece of English history, the Spencer family's seat for over 5 centuries. Charles approached this role not as a passive caretaker, but as a devoted steward. He launched ambitious restoration projects, repairing the estate's roof and exterior for the first time since the 1780s, ensuring its physical preservation for future generations. But his vision extended beyond mere maintenance. He sought to make its history accessible, creating the Althorp Living History Collection, a line of furniture inspired by pieces within the house, allowing others to own a fragment of its crafted legacy. Yet, Althorp's significance is forever deepened by profound personal loss. It is the final resting place of his sister Diana. In the wake of the 1997 tragedy, Charles transformed a part of the estate into a sanctuary of serene reflection. He chose a tranquil island in the middle of a quiet lake, known as the Oval, as her burial site, a place surrounded by water and nature, safe from intrusion. Understanding the public's need to remember her, he also established a museum on the grounds, housing some of her most cherished possessions, including her iconic wedding dress. In a move that perfectly echoed Diana's own charitable spirit, all proceeds from the museum were directed to the Diana Memorial Fund. This synergy between his personal passions and his duties as Earl is the hallmark of his life. As an author, his first book, Althorp, The Story of an English House, blended architectural history with intimate family narrative. As a patron of the arts, he founded the Althorp Literary Festival, turning the estate's gardens into a vibrant hub for writers and thinkers. Through every endeavor, from his documentaries to his recent podcast, Charles Spencer has demonstrated that his true title is not just Earl, but storyteller. He is a man who guards the past with a scholar's care, honors a beloved sister's memory with a brother's heart, and continually finds new ways to make history speak to the present. In a public landscape often dominated by royal scandal and familial tension, Charles Spencer has consciously cultivated a sphere defined by intellectual joy and collaborative spirit. This refreshing approach is perfectly embodied in his venture, The Rabbit Hole Detectives. Co-founded with his partner, Kat Garman, and broadcaster Reverend Richard Coles, the project began as a podcast that quickly captivated audiences with its unique blend of historical deep dives, curious anecdotes, and warm, witty conversation. The trio's genuine camaraderie and shared fascination for the obscure corners of history transformed academic curiosity into engaging entertainment, proving that the past is not a dry collection of dates, but a treasure trove of wonderful stories waiting to be uncovered. The podcast's success naturally evolved into a tangible product with the release of The Rabbit Hole book. Announced with evident pride on social media, the book expands upon the podcast's format, offering 99 new and self-contained topics. Charles described each entry as a secret door into a different world, inviting readers to embark on a journey of discovery. His enthusiasm for the material is palpable. Whether he's explaining the accidental origin of the crossword puzzle, a simple printing error that switched word cross to crossword, or delving into other forgotten historical footnotes. For Charles, this project is more than a publication. It is a manifestation of his lifelong belief in the power of curiosity. It represents a joyful chapter, one focused on creativity, shared learning, and the simple pleasure of unearthing a fascinating story. This endeavor stands in quiet contrast to the narratives that often surround his family. While headlines frequently focus on division and drama, Charles has chosen to channel his energy into a project that promotes unity, not of blood, but of intellect and interest. The Rabbit Hole universe is a space free from the weight of royal duty or personal tragedy. Instead, it is a celebration of the mind, a reminder that wonder and knowledge are accessible to all. His fans have praised his friendly, accessible storytelling style, noting his ability to make history feel alive and immediately relevant. Ultimately, The Rabbit Hole Detectives is a profound reflection of Charles Spencer's character. It balances his work as a historian with his inherent human warmth, and his appreciation for the past with a forward-looking, optimistic spirit. The project demonstrates that his true passion lies not in the spotlight of public controversy, but in the quiet glow of a shared discovery. In choosing to dedicate his energy to curiosity and creativity, he offers a gentle yet powerful reminder of what truly endures. The endless capacity for learning, the joy of a good story, and the connections forged when people explore the wonderful rabbit holes of history together. Princess Diana's entrance into the royal family was not merely the arrival of a new consort. It was the introduction of a new revolutionary force, profound empathy. She carried a magnetic energy that immediately captivated the public, but her true power lay not in her title or her beauty, but in her radical decision to govern her public life by the instincts of her heart rather than the cold protocols of the palace. While the institution was built on tradition, distance, and formality, Diana operated on a wavelength of emotional honesty and human connection. She understood on a visceral level that people did not just need to see a princess on a distant podium. They needed to feel seen by her, to be acknowledged and comforted. This understanding became the guiding principle of her royal life, setting her on a path where no royal had dared to walk before. Her approach was not a calculated rebellion, but a genuine expression of her character. She moved towards those who were suffering, instinctively seeking out the forgotten and the stigmatized. At a time when fear and misinformation about HIV/AIDS were rampant, she visited hospital wards and, in a gesture that reverberated around the world, shook the hands of patients without wearing gloves. This simple human touch was a seismic event, dismantling a wall of prejudice with a single act of courage and declaring that compassion was stronger than fear. She did not just visit, she connected. She would kneel down to speak to a child at their eye level, hold the hand of a grieving parent, or sit quietly with a patient, listening to their stories. These were not photo opportunities. They were moments of profound human communion. This work was deeply personal. Diana herself often felt isolated, misunderstood, and emotionally adrift within the gilded confines of palace life. She knew what it was like to feel invisible and unheard, even while living in the world's brightest spotlight. This shared experience of pain became the wellspring of her compassion. When she comforted a homeless person or a leprosy survivor, she was offering the understanding and validation she herself craved. In reaching out to heal the wounds of others, she found a sense of purpose and strength that her official role failed to provide. Her charity was a two-way conversation. As she gave comfort, she received a sense of belonging and worth that the royal structure could not supply. Her methods were a quiet but consistent dismantling of royal formality. She stopped wearing gloves to feel the direct warmth of a human hand. She abandoned elaborate hats that would get in the way of hugging a child. Every choice was made in the service of removing barriers, both literal and figurative. She demonstrated that true influence is not exercised from a distance but is felt in the intimate space between two people. Her legacy, therefore, is not a list of patronages, but a blueprint for compassionate leadership. She redefined what it meant to be royal, proving that a title's real power is not in its privilege, but in its capacity to alleviate suffering and give voice to the voiceless. Through her sons, William and Harry, her ethos of emotional courage and service-first duty continues to shape the modern monarchy. But her greatest impact is seen in the millions of ordinary people she inspired to be a little kinder, a little braver, and a little more human. Diana taught the world that empathy is not a weakness, but the most formidable strength of all, and that the most enduring legacy is not etched in stone, but in the countless hearts touched by a simple, loving gesture.